Imagine a world where the skies are dominated by just two names, Boeing and Airbus. For decades, these two giants have set the rules, defined the standards, and built almost every major passenger jet flying across the globe. They're the kings of wide-body and narrow-body aircraft, and their duopoly has seemed unshakable. But now, a new player is stepping onto the runway. And it's coming from a place you might not expect: China. The Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, or COMAC, is quietly positioning itself as a serious contender, aiming not just to build planes, but to challenge the very heart of aviation: the jet engine itself. Enter the CJ-2000. This engine isn't just a piece of hardware. It's China's bold statement that it wants to compete with the West on its own terms. With advanced technology, higher thrust, and modern engineering, the CJ-2000 could power China's ambitions for global influence in aviation. So here's the big question: can China actually compete with Boeing and Airbus? Could it reshape the global aviation industry and challenge decades of Western dominance? Or is this just a story of ambition meeting enormous technical and political hurdles? Today, we're going to explore China's journey in aviation, from its first domestically produced jets to the CJ-2000 engine, and what it all means for the future of flight. Buckle up. The race for the skies is about to get interesting. Every giant starts somewhere, and for China's aviation dreams, that beginning was the C919. But before we get to the plane itself, let's talk about the company behind it, COMAC, or the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China. Think of COMAC as China's ambitious challenger, a company created to break into a field long dominated by Boeing and Airbus. Their mission is simple on paper: build domestic aircraft that can compete on the global stage. The challenge: aviation isn't just about designing a plane, it's about mastering decades of engineering, supply chains, and trust that companies like Boeing and Airbus have spent years building. The C919 is a narrow-body jet designed to compete with the iconic Boeing 737 and Airbus A320. On paper, it's very similar: same size, similar passenger capacity, and comparable range. For Chinese airlines, it promises one key advantage: lower operating costs. Imagine it as a budget-friendly alternative that could open up more domestic and regional routes. But here's the catch. Despite being called domestic, the C919 isn't fully homegrown. Critical components, like the LEAP-1C engines from CFM International, a joint venture between General Electric and Safran, still come from the West. It's a reminder that creating a truly independent aircraft is no small task. Still, COMAC has scored important milestones. The C919 has entered commercial service, and it even completed its first international flight to Hong Kong. For a company that's just starting out, these are meaningful achievements. They show progress, credibility, and a first glimpse at what China could achieve in aviation. In short, the C919 is China's first step into the duopoly's backyard. It's not just a plane, it's a test, a signal, and the foundation for what's coming next. And what comes next is even bigger: wide-body jets capable of flying long-haul routes, backed by engines designed entirely in China. If the C919 was China's first tentative step into the aviation world, the C929 is its bold stride onto the global stage. This isn't just another plane, it's a wide-body aircraft designed for long-haul flights, aiming to rival the likes of the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350. In other words, it's China saying, "We're not just here to play, we want to compete at the highest level." The story of the C929 began as a collaboration with Russia under the name CR929. Initially, China focused on production while Russia handled design and engineering. But geopolitical tensions, especially Western sanctions on Russia following the Ukraine war, forced China to take the project entirely into its own hands. The plane was renamed the C929, marking a new era of self-reliance. Designed to carry 250 to 320 passengers, the C929 isn't just about size, it's about capability. Long-haul flights, intercontinental routes, and the ability to meet the needs of airlines worldwide. All these ambitions make it a serious contender. But building a wide-body jet is far more complex than a narrow-body one. Engineering challenges multiply, from aerodynamics to advanced avionics. And at the heart of it lies the engine, one of the toughest pieces to perfect. The C929 is a clear statement. China is aiming for the skies on its own terms. But as the complexity grows, so does the challenge. The question now isn't just whether China can build a wide-body aircraft. It's whether it can build one that can fly reliably, efficiently, and safely against decades-old Western benchmarks. If the C929 is China's ambition in metal and wings, the CJ-2000 engine is the beating heart that could make it soar. In aviation, engines are everything. They determine performance, fuel efficiency, and reliability. For decades, Boeing and Airbus have relied on Western giants like Rolls-Royce and General Electric to power their wide-body jets. For China, creating its own engine isn't just a technical goal. It's a statement of independence. The CJ-2000 is designed to be larger and more powerful than China's earlier CJ-1000 engine, which was made for the C919. It features modern innovations like composite fan blades for lighter weight and durability, and a high bypass ratio to maximize fuel efficiency. Its turbine inlet temperature can reach 2,200 Kelvin, about 225 degrees higher than the Rolls-Royce Trent XWB-97. And it generates thrust between 78,000 and 84,000 pounds. To put that in perspective, it competes directly with the world's most advanced wide-body engines. The timeline is ambitious too. As of 2023, the CJ-2000 had entered technical testing, with its first flight expected by the end of 2024 and operational readiness targeted by 2030. If successful, it could finally allow China to produce a truly domestically made wide-body aircraft, reducing dependence on Western suppliers and opening the door to international exports. But this engine isn't just about numbers. It symbolizes China's strategic push into global aviation. A successful CJ-2000 could reshape the balance of power in the industry, proving that Chinese engineering can stand alongside decades of Western expertise. It's a high-stakes gamble, with global influence on the line. Building a powerful engine like the CJ-2000 and a wide-body aircraft like the C929 is one thing. Getting the world to trust it is another. In aviation, certification is everything. Without approval from major regulators like the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration or the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, even the most advanced plane can't fly for most international airlines. China has made progress. The C919 has domestic certification from the Civil Aviation Administration of China, allowing it to operate within China. But global acceptance is a much tougher challenge. Airlines around the world won't just buy a plane because it exists. They need to know it meets rigorous safety, efficiency, and reliability standards that Boeing and Airbus have proven over decades. Geopolitics adds another layer. Trade tensions, disputes over technology, and concerns about national security mean regulators in the West are cautious about Chinese aircraft. Even suppliers sometimes face restrictions when selling critical components to COMAC, slowing down development. Trust, built over decades by Boeing and Airbus, doesn't come easily to a newcomer. So the question isn't just technical, it's strategic. Can China convince the world that its aircraft are safe, efficient, and reliable? Until they can, their global reach will be limited. Domestic flights and friendly nations may suffice for now, but breaking into the international market requires more than ambition. It demands credibility. Even if COMAC perfects its planes and engines, building trust is only part of the story. The next challenge is the market itself, and this is where China's strategy becomes truly interesting. Domestically, China has a massive advantage. Its state-owned airlines make up the bulk of early orders, providing a built-in customer base that can sustain production while the company gains experience. But COMAC isn't thinking only about home skies. The goal is global influence. Through initiatives like the Belt and Road, China is expanding its aviation footprint, investing in airports, training programs, and technology across Asia, Africa, and beyond. It's a strategy that combines infrastructure, diplomacy, and commerce to create a network that favors Chinese aircraft. China is also betting on technology to support its ambitions. Advanced navigation systems like Baiyu and research into supersonic flight show that COMAC isn't just copying the West, it's pushing innovation that could shape the future of aviation. Yet the big question remains, can China gradually gain the trust of international airlines, or will COMAC remain a secondary choice behind Boeing and Airbus? Winning over foreign airlines requires not only certification and reliability, but also a reputation for safety, consistent support, and global supply chain stability. In short, China's aviation ambitions are about more than building planes. They're about shaping a global ecosystem where Chinese technology, infrastructure, and influence move together, making COMAC more than just a manufacturer. COMAC doesn't need to topple Boeing or Airbus overnight. Aviation is a marathon, not a sprint, and the company's strategy reflects that. Step by step, China is building experience, increasing production capacity, and proving reliability. The kind of slow, steady progress that creates lasting impact. Each plane delivered, each engine tested, and each successful flight is a small but essential step toward credibility. COMAC is learning from every challenge, from mastering advanced manufacturing techniques to developing support services that airlines expect worldwide. Reducing reliance on Western components, navigating political barriers, and meeting international standards are not just technical hurdles. They're part of the long-term plan to stand on its own. Government support plays a critical role. Billions of dollars in research and development, investment in aviation infrastructure, and coordinated policies give COMAC a runway to grow steadily. It's like planting a forest. You start with seeds today, nurture the saplings over years, and eventually, a strong ecosystem emerges. The long game also includes proving reliability. Airlines are cautious. They need assurance that Chinese planes and engines can operate safely and efficiently for decades. By focusing on gradual, incremental progress, COMAC aims to build trust that no single test flight or unveiling can create. In the end, the message is clear. China isn't chasing short-term glory. It's playing for the future, and patience, consistency, and careful strategy may eventually allow COMAC to claim a meaningful share of the global aviation market. So where does all this leave China's aviation journey? From the first tentative steps with the C919 to the ambitious wide-body C929 powered by the CJ-2000 engine, China is making a serious push to challenge the established giants of the sky. This isn't just about airplanes, it's about influence, independence, and reshaping the balance of power in global aviation. Boeing and Airbus have dominated for decades, but China is steadily building the capabilities, infrastructure, and reputation needed to compete on a global scale. The stakes are enormous, not just for airlines, but for the future of aerospace technology itself. The big question remains, will COMAC become a true competitor, or will it remain in the shadow of Boeing and Airbus for years to come? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The race for the skies is changing, and China's long-term strategy is something the world cannot ignore. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think China can rise to compete with Boeing and Airbus? Or are the challenges just too great? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of aviation, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. The skies are only going to get more interesting.